I was talking to my older brother the other day, and he said that over Christmas he had realized that things are never going to be the same than they used to be. So what happened that this Christmas he had for the first time invited everybody to his home in Vienna. He had used the Christmas decoration that my mom always used to use. He had used certain things and traditions that my mom would use to do exactly that same way. And then he realized that no matter how many things you use from that person, oh my gosh, I'm getting emotional. This is a tough one, but we're gonna fight through it. This is just I feel like, very heartbreaking, because it's one of the hardest things throughout this grieving process, that you have to realize that no matter how hard you're going to try to turn things back to the way they were, you're never going to manage to create that exact same feeling and that exact same experience that you had when that person was there. So in our family, for example, my mom was always the glue that kind of held everybody together, me and my three brothers. And now you can just feel that it's a lot harder to create that exact same bond with her not being there, because we all have different dads. We all have already separate families. So she was kind of the one that brought all of us always together. And now that is no longer the case anymore. We do try, but it's just not the same. It is not the same without her. And I do find it so difficult to realize this fact and to internalize it, and also to accept it in a way, because we don't want to accept it. We want to fight against this with every part in our body, and we just want to turn time back and make it exactly the way it was. We just want things to be like they were. But I think that is something that you have to realize, that unfortunately that is just not going to be the case. And the other thing that is incredibly difficult is, beside the fact that it is never going to be the way it used to be, you also are never going to have those ideas that you had of your life. Like, for example, your mom looking after your children as a grandma, or your mom being there when you get married, or your mom being there for any of those important moments. That's what you envision all your life. And all of a sudden death comes and it completely rips it away, and it changes everything. And now you're left with, okay, it's never going to be the way it used to be, and it's also not going to be the way we imagined it to be in any case. So it's like a double trouble. Oh goodness, that is a tough one. That's really getting to me. I don't know, every time I think about this, it rips me out. It doesn't matter if I'm on the street somewhere, or if I'm seeing like a mom and their child, or a grandma and their child. It just hits me every time. And it's been a year and a half now, so it has been quite a while. I'm not sure this is ever going to get better. And I think this also proves how incredibly difficult change is for human beings. It is one of the toughest things that we have to go through in life. And while it is also one of the most amazing things, I reckon, because change is great and change normally means something so special, in that case, it's not as nice, but it also shows how deeply scary change for us really is, and how much work it takes to go through change. Because in this particular case, we have no choice. There's no choice but to live with the change and to make the best of it. And that is the next point that my brother said, and I love this, and I've realized that he is so incredibly right. He said, Clara, from this point forward, it is our responsibility to hold this family together, and it is our responsibility to create our own luck and our own traditions and our own ways of living, without holding on to how it used to be all the time. Yes, you can keep traditions, and yes, you can continue to do certain things that your mom or your dad or whoever passed away would do with you and for you. But to constantly wish that it was exactly the way it was before, I think we really have to let go of this idea, because it won't be. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe this is what life is all about, creating our own little ways and creating our own little traditions and our things that then one day we're going to pass on to our kids. And if we pass, then they're going to be so sad that it's never the way it used to was. But this is the cycle of life. I'm not saying that it is a good thing. I'm not saying that I wish it wasn't differently, but it is the way it is. and to accept that, and to, like my brother said, create our own luck within this situation. No matter how dark it is, you will find ways to create special moments yourself. And one day, hopefully, you're gonna have a family that you can do all these things with, and maybe you already have that family. And very hopefully, I'm going to have that family very soon as well. So I just really think that we need to realize that it's time to do this ourselves. And obviously, I do apologize. I've just realized that if you have maybe lost your family, then this is a whole nother level of change. And I mean, everything would be 1,000 times more different because you had already created everything that I was just talking about. So I think this is also a little bit different if you did lose different people than your mom and your dad, for example, like we did in our case. But even then, I hope that you do realize that no matter how difficult and no matter how tough and no matter how much you're grieving right now, that one day you are going to be able to create memories again. And yes, they can be always in our hearts and we can carry them with us all the time, but things are never going to be the same way than they were. And that is, as painful as it is, okay in some ways as well.